Want to throw in an extra of yourself, but you can't because you aren't two people? This is an easy solution for you. This project requires you to get a few different shots, so let's break it down. Prior to the filming process, think about what you're trying to achieve. There's usually a reason you want a clone, but also think about what parts of dialogue, if any, you're going to have to cover and how you're going to time it. The effect can be bad if you don't think about what you want before you do it. While in the filming process, I recommend you set your camera to manual mode and get everything looking nice. There's a good reason for why you want to do this. While in the filming process, you need to get several shots. The first one is a clean plate. I have this clip here that I recorded, and in the first 10 or so seconds, you can see there may be some movement in the background here, but it's not something like leaves blowing in the background or anything like that. That is good enough for a clean plate, but a clean plate is typically a shot where you have no movement or anything in the background that's going to cause issues, or it's going to be something that you want just to stay there. Film another shot for the first part of your dialogue with your original you. Film the other shot for the second part of the dialogue with your clone you. We'll want to bring everything we have into a composition that I'm calling the cloning walkthrough. So what I'm going to do first is cut out a little part of the clip that I'm going to call my clean plate. So I'll go 10 seconds in, and I'll hit Control-Shift-D, which you may have to set up as a hotkey for yourself, so I can split the layer so that I can click and drag this back here. So I'm going to go ahead, and just so I can get everything right, I'm going to grab this second layer, going to hit T to open up opacity, and set it to 75%, so that way I can see what the background is. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pull this back until I see I'm at the point where I need to be. So here's my first part of the clip. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to hit Control-Shift-D again to split the clip and delete the one that I don't need. And then I'm going to scroll forward to the 10-second mark again, and I'm going to hit Control-Shift-D again. So there's my first part. So we have this top clip. You want to make sure it's selected and hit the open bracket to bring it all the way back. We're going to go ahead and do the same thing we did with the second clip now. And we're going to drag this back until I am in a new position. And now that I'm in a new position, I'm going to hit Control-Shift-D to make a new clip and delete the old one. And now I've got two clips, and you can see a tiny bit of a silhouette of me right here. So since we're done with previewing where I am in this, we're going to go ahead, open up the opacity again, and bring it all the way up. Now I'm going to select my top layer, go up to the pen tool, and we're going to learn a little bit about masking. So I've got myself here, and I just want to draw a nice little outline around myself. So I'm just going to make a little bit of a rough cut here and make a little outline of myself. And I'm going to close it, and then boom, you can automatically already see me. So there you go, you've already kind of got a clone of yourself in it. In your case, you're going to want to make sure that you've timed your clips correctly. The audio that you have in them should be basically one after the other like normal speech, but again, you typically want to have a reason for doing something like this. This was just an example that I came up with so that you could see a sort of simple cloning effect. So as you can see, I actually have multiple copies of myself in different parts of the composition now. You can see there's actually a pretty good similarity between all these clips, and that helps solve any sort of issues that you have for like believability and things. In a later part of this clip, I actually have a part where the lighting conditions have changed ever so slightly, and actually you can see it right there. For whatever reason, the lighting had changed. It may have been the clouds moved in the sky and it was a little bit brighter, just a hair brighter. So what you can typically do for something like this, you can go into your mask and you can set the feather to just a little bit of an amount, and that will sort of cover any sort of simple mistakes like this. So you just need to think about what you're trying to achieve with this effect. I've got plenty of copies of myself here. You can see that they're a lot better over here, but honestly, what you're looking for is things that don't move. You don't want, like, you can see the trees here in the background. You don't really want something like that unless you can get a pretty good clean plate. Just don't have yourself in front of it or whatever you're trying to cut out in front of a moving object like this. the reason that I say to put your camera on manual is because your camera will automatically make the changes to its shutter, aperture, and ISO, so that this can be a lot more of an issue compared to having just the clean plate behind it. It looks a lot nicer whenever everything sort of matches up as it does. That about covers it. Thanks. See you in the next video.